Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Zurich with SweetSpotDFS, and this is my DFS review video for the 2022 RBC Heritage, where Jordan Spieth is your winner. Now, the purpose of these review videos is to go over everything I covered in the preview and strategy video to see what went right and what did not. And of course, those that didn't go right, where can we improve? So I'm not going to waste any more time. We're going to get right into this and talk about giveaways. I had a subscriber giveaway. You can see the goal of 350 subscribers is on the screen. We didn't reach that, so we're not providing this giveaway. We're at 347, so we're only 3 away. I think we'll get there in the next couple weeks. I'm going to push this giveaway to a week after the Zurich. So 2 weeks from now, we'll run this giveaway again, and it's not going to be worth 25. It'll be worth 20, because remember from the Masters, every week we didn't hit this giveaway, we're going to take $5 off until we get to 10, and then we're automatically running it. So if you want a chance to win $20, be subscribed to the channel and comment on any of the videos that I put out there. That gives you a free entry into this giveaway. So some of you guys already have accumulated like 20 free entries. So your chances of winning that money is just greater. So again, if you want an entry into this, be subscribed and comment down below. Second giveaway I was doing, it was a prize picks giveaway. If you signed up using the promo code SweetSpot and put $20 in your account, I was going to give you $20 back. That way you can play prize picks for free, and also they're going to deposit match you up to $100. So your 20 turns into 40 and it doesn't cost you anything, but you could put $100 in and you'd end up having 200 in your account and it would only cost you 80. Totally up to you guys, but that was at your disposal, I guess. That's not the word I'm really looking for, but it was available to you guys. So no new signups this week, unfortunately. Hoping to get more in the future. If you're not yet playing, it's a lot of fun. It's a good way to make money. And if you want a little discount from playing prize picks, use the promo code SweetSpot. Simple as that. There's a link in the description below. Highly suggest you guys to go do that. All right. We also had there was a cheat sheet available. That's also in the description of this video. I'll keep that up until Monday night, 10 p.m. and then I'll update it with the Zurich Classic. And then there was also an optimizer that I was providing, but I don't have to. I'll show that here at the end of the video. No use to you guys now since the tournament's over. I would have to update it with the Zurich Classic information, and then you can ask for it there. But anyways, let's get into this thing. Jordan Spieth won in a playoff against Patrick Cantlay. I'm gonna hide this. I won't lie. I didn't watch a lot of golf on the weekend. I did watch quite a bit Thursday, Friday. Always like watching the cut, and primarily. There are 2 reasons I didn't watch golf on the weekend. One was I had a friend that came down and we just had a good time. Didn't really focus on anything golf related. So I just didn't have time to watch, which was fine. I didn't have any dogs in the races. So the reason that comes to number 2 is I went 90% in on 2 golfers. Those golfers were Shane Lowry. So we're looking good already, right? Shane finished 3rd this week. But that second golfer was Cameron Smith, which he missed the cut. So once he missed the cut, I kind of knew I was dead basically in DFS this week. So I didn't have an interest to watch. But again, my weekend was busy. So I just didn't have time to watch, period. But I was paying attention to the leaderboard. Shane Lowry, I know, was winning this tournament for some point in time until he on a par 3, missed the green, chipped over the green into the water, ended up double bogeying it. I shouldn't say he had a chance on 18 because he really didn't. He did drive it into the fairway, which still that gives you a good opportunity to try to make birdie from. But he put it into a bunker, got up and down for his par. So his 3rd place finish actually got me like a couple extra dollars. But outside of that, it was not a good week for me. The optimizer, so I really like that strategy that I was deploying, and I'm not trying to suggest any of you guys doing it out there. A lot of my stuff is trial and error, so I'm just trying this out to see if it nets better results. And the whole premise behind it is, even with the bucket system, I still can create thousands and thousands of lineups, just different combinations of lineups. That doesn't help us narrow down and try to pinpoint the optimal lineup. I think if we lock in 2 to 4 golfers in our lineups, we're going to have a much better chance to hit the optimal lineup than if we don't. And I wanted to start with 2. I still think going with 2 is probably the best. I was really heavily thinking about, or considering, I should say, having 3 golfers as like anchored in my lineups. But I hated the fact of thinking 3 golfers, one of them could miss the cut really easily. You know, the more golfers you lock, the higher risk you put yourself at, one of them missing the cut and it tanking all of your lineups. Where I thought 2 was safer. And you can believe in the Masters hangover stuff all you want. But I don't know. If I were to look, I mean, Shane Lowry finished top 10 last week. I'm sorry. Last week he was 3rd last week at the Masters, finished 3rd at the RBC Heritage. You had Corey Connors who finished 6th. He finished 12th here at the RBC Heritage. So you could say there was a hangover, but I don't know. I just Cam Smith seemed like a pretty safe choice, and he was a good course fit at that golf course. I liked him. I liked Cam Smith. But anyways, that didn't work out for me. The optimizer actually had selected Colin Morikawa and Joaquin Niemann, which wasn't terrible because Joaquin Niemann finished 12th and Colin Morikawa finished 26th. So those 2 together were great. And it didn't really matter who I chose. The optimizer selected Cam Young. Let's see. It was Cam Young, Matt Kuchar, Eric Van Rooyen, and Troy Merritt. So those 4 golfers, if they were mixed in with any twosome that I did, I was looking good for money. And it didn't work out that way. I picked the wrong guy. But anyways, really kind of digging that thought process, going that way, because the more golfers you lock, it removes the amount of positions in your lineup that need to be filled, right? If you lock in 3, now you have to just select 3. And based off of those 3 openings, if you use the bucket system, there's only going to be so many combinations you can create. It's going to turn the thousands and thousands of combinations into single digits. Or not so much single digits. It's going to be like hundreds of lineups, which is much more manageable. And especially if you pick the right duo. Like if you picked Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay, and just let the optimizer go from there, you could have done really well this week. So that's a long-winded way of explaining what my strategy was this week and why I didn't really watch much golf. But I also can't really talk much about the tournament. So that's also a reason why I'm saying all that, because I don't know what truly happened. Like Cam Young got off to a hot start on Thursday, and he played really well, considering he just played a Masters and missed the cut, but still a very solid performance, and he's proven to be a really good golfer. Kuchar, course history, I didn't even see he had all 4 rounds in the 60s. That is a bonus on DraftKings. It was him and Spieth, the only two golfers that had that. Just double checking. Yep, only 2 golfers to have it. So I mean that's really good with Kuchar, and I'm usually not a Kuch guy, but at this tournament, obviously he likes this golf course. He likes this tournament. I have nothing else to talk about with like a recap of the tournament. So let's go to the next piece, which is the $5 giveaway, or the $5 GPP, I should say, versus the optimal lineup. So I'm going to hide some tournaments. We're going to hide the Corrales Punta Cana. Just want to let you guys see that I'm doing this. And I'm also going to hide the Puerto Rico Open. So if you wanted to look at those results for whatever reason, just pause the video before I hid those, and you can go back. But, I didn't even color code this. Let me just do this quick. I just want to, it's one of those things I think visually looks good. So I'll just keep it like this. Your $5 GPP winning lineup had Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay, Shane Lowry, JT Poston, Eric Van Rooyen, and Patton Kizzire in it. It scored 604 points even, and it used up all 50,000 of the salary, so it didn't even leave any money on the table. Again, for those that love to leave money on the table, there really isn't a purpose. Because if we even look at the optimal lineup, it only left $400 on the table. And I know when we talked about past optimal lineups, I went over every year where it seemed like there was about $3,000 left on the table for the optimal. Remember, it's never a smart thing to do to leave a lot of money on the table, because you just open, like, you're giving yourself so many more combinations of lineups you can build. If you just say, I only want lineups between 49,800 and 50,000, you put that into your optimizer, it can only create so many lineups, because it needs to put in, you know, high price guys with low price guys. If you just leave it open to like several $1,000s on the table, now you can create a bunch of lineups with 6K golfers, 7K golfers, and never have to touch 10 or 9K golfers, which would be stupid, but it opens up so many more lineup possibilities. So if you do use an optimizer, I just really never recommend leaving a bunch of money on the table. But here's another case in point where the GPP winning lineup didn't leave any money on the table, and they won $25,000. So I can't hammer it through to you guys more and more to not leave a bunch of money on the table. There's just no point. The sweet spot process goes 49,000 and above. I never leave more than I truly actually try not to leave a lot of money on the table, but 1,000 is the most that I'm willing to do. But for me, what would be comfortable is like 49.5 up to 50,000. So I only want to leave up a max of 500, but I allow 1,000. It's okay. Like, there are some price, you know, disparities on DraftKings that if you look at a golfer equally and you just don't look at the price tag and you plug them in a lineup, if it spits out 49,000, then so be it. Those were the 6 best golfers you chose, or the 6 best golfers you wanted in your lineup. So be it, you know. But anyways, your optimal lineup scored 642.5 points. So it was scored about 40 more points than the GPP winning lineup. And that optimal had Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay, Cameron Young, Harold Varner III, JT Poston, and Matt Kuchar. So if you're watching on YouTube, I just highlighted the 6 golfers. So if you look at that optimal, it used a 10K, a 9K, an 8K, 2 7s, and a 6. Remember, that's your traditional lineup build, and the optimal lineup had that traditional lineup build. That's the other great thing. That's what I also put in my optimizer. Actually, I made sure it chose 1 10, 1 9, 1 8, and 1 7. And then I allowed it to pick, you know, if it wanted to pick 2 6Ks, that was fine. If it wanted to pick 2 7s and a 6, that was fine. And if it wanted to do 3 7s, that was fine as well. But most of my lineups had at least 1 6 in it, maybe 2 6K golfers. And there you go. JT Poston, 6,600. But like Cam Davis was 6,800. You could have easily gotten there as well. It wouldn't have been the optimal lineup, but it would have been close. So I have nothing else to provide the optimal versus the GPP winning lineup. Let's go ahead and look at the SweetSpot score. So I covered the SweetSpot score in the strategy video. I'm just going to go ahead and sort by ranking from top to bottom. And really what I want to see in this column here, well, actually, it's not so much in that column. It's in the names. So I have all the optimal lineup golfers marked with that little black tick mark. In the top 20 of SweetSpot score, I want to see at least 4 golfers in the optimal lineup. And this week we had Patrick Cantlay, Matt Kuchar, and Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth was my 20th ranked guy. So we got 3, which is pretty good. I'm not gonna take that away. We almost had a 4th one with Shane Lowry. He finished 3rd. But he was not in the optimal lineup, but he was in the GPP winning lineup. So we were close. Oh, Harold Varner III is 23rd place, or he was 23rd in my model. So we were super close. So this week, what I used for stats was actually no different than any of the other weeks. We used official world golf ranking, the Pete Dye grass stats, which, I mean, that doesn't make any sense, but it's just Pete Dye average finishes since 2013 and on, and then also within the last year. So I use those. I use course history, bogey avoidance, birdie or better, and then some recent form stats here with, what you see on the screen, and some season-long stats right here. That created a score, which then created the ranking. That's how I got my ranks. And we had 4 inside the top 23, which is really good. That's pretty darn close to what I'm looking for. Now with this, I go into Marquee Tea Time pairings, which I just sort by game number, and then I look at the color that I created the Marquee Tea Times. Now you're gonna see this light green text, and you're gonna see this dark, or you're gonna see the black text. The light green is honorable mentions. The black text is your Marquee Tea Times. So I'm gonna highlight those, and then we're gonna talk about them. So there were a total of 6 Marquee Tea Times. Now the rule kind of is, as long as there's more than 4 Marquee Tea Times, we automatically want to choose 2 golfers from the Marquee Tea Times to anchor our lineups around. When there becomes more, we can divide the number of Marquee Tea Times in half to get like our minimum or maybe even maximum that we want to choose. So we had 6, you divide that in half, that's 3. So I would say you want to find around 3 golfers that to build your lineups around within the Marquee Tea Times. So as long as we have 3 golfers in the optimal lineup, then it works out. Well, I think we actually have that. So yeah, we have Patrick Cantlay in one group. We've got Jordan Spieth in another group, and then we've got Matt Kuchar in another. And then honorable mention, we have Harold Varner III, and that's it. So we actually had 4 golfers from this whole list. And if you remember what I tell you guys, never select more than 1 golfer in a group. If you just follow the optimal lineup logic, that's true. That actually worked out because Patrick Cantlay was playing with Billy Horschel and Kevin Kisner. Only Patrick Cantlay was in the optimal lineup. The next group, Justin Thomas, Shane Lowry, Jordan Spieth. Only Jordan Spieth was in the optimal lineup. We'll come back to that one. I know what you see on the screen. And then obviously same thing applies with Matt Kuchar, Dustin Johnson, Matt Kuchar, and Sepp Straka. And that's another thing we can talk about as well. Because first of all, Shane Lowry finished 3rd, and he was in the GPP winning lineup to go along with Jordan Spieth, but he wasn't in the optimal lineup. And that's the whole purpose here at SweetSpotDFS, is to hit the optimal lineup. So again, it works out. It works in our favor. But also Sepp Straka had finished 3rd as well. So I don't really think you could have gone wrong because Sepp Straka scored 1 less point than Matt Kuchar. If you had picked Sepp Straka instead of Matt Kuchar, you're sitting pretty. You could have still won a GPP just by doing that. Same applies. Well, no, you'd want Jordan Spieth, but I think you could probably go with Shane Lowry because there's a 40-point difference between the optimal lineup and the GPP winning lineup. Well, if you look at the difference between Spieth and Lowry, it's only 16 points, and then Sepp and Kuchar, it's only 1 point. So you still could have beat the GPP if instead from Jordan you went to Shane and from Kuchar you went to Sepp. But obviously that's not the case. Either way, Marquee Tea Times, perfect. They hit. The SweetSpot score, I think I'm going to give it to myself. We have 4 inside the top 23. That hit. Now, the last piece that we want to look at are the buckets. Now, if you've followed me for a while now, and you watched the bucket system video that I created, I think I have a link in the description here. We talked about the success rates. And actually, let me hide some of this. I want to hide this. And I think what I want to do is hide the strength of field numbers. Yeah. So every single week we go over this. We review the buckets and we look to see how many top 10s there were and how many were in the optimal lineup, and we compare that to what my projections were that I provided in the strategy video. They usually aren't updated in the preview video, but sometimes they can be in the preview video. I talk about them in the strategy video. So when we look at these, basically, if we look at our projection, we look at the minimum. Remember, we always round down with that number. So that this last year, 1 bucket, minimum was 2, maximum was 4. We go to our top 10s over here. We see there were 3 inside the top 10. So right away it just hits. And then there were 2 in the optimal lineup. That matches as well. So that's a success. And if we scroll and we look through all these buckets, you can see all of the Ys that were successful. We only have 2 no's. So 34 out of 36 is 94%. We were 94% correct with our buckets. You have to see something. So recent form 3s, we were looking somewhere between 2 to 4. And then strokes gained 3 struck out. Like there was 0. But if we go to the 2022 DK page and we open this up, everybody, again, you can follow along with the cheat sheet down below. We need to find 2 golfers. Like if we go to the summary, strokes gained 3, we're looking somewhere between 2 to 4. And we're also doing that with the recent form 3s, 2 to 4. Remember, we have 1 inside the top 10. Well, look at all these golfers tied in 12th place. Now, I know it's not 10th place. You know, it's not your top 10, but top 12 is pretty darn close. And oh my goodness, we have 3 strokes gained 3 golfers that were inside the top 12. So that would hit our projections. And then, oh, by the way, we have 1 recent form 3, 2 recent form 3, 3 recent form 3, 4 recent form 3, 5 recent form 3, all inside the top 12. So we're really close. The buckets were very, very close to being 100% correct. Unfortunately, it's not. Like I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I want to let you guys know that top 12s still can win you tournaments or GPPs, but when we're looking for the optimal lineup, those 2 buckets were not successful. But still, 94% correct is pretty darn good. So with that being said, with everything that we can do with the bucket system, can we create a lineup that would take down a GPP? Now, I already ran it with all of the conditionals that I had put in there to start, well, with the strategy video. And if you got this optimizer, these conditionals were already set in. So I already have all the bucket related pieces here. The lineup that it spit out was 601.5 points. Now, if we go back to the GPP winning lineup versus optimal, the GPP scored 604 points. So we were really close to taking down a GPP with those strict conditionals. Now, I know where most of them fell. Like the recent form 3, you'd want 0, and strokes gained 3, you would want 0. And then that way we're gonna hit. We're gonna hit. I think we hit the optimal. No, we're 9 points away from the optimal. So we can score 633 points. That still takes down a GPP winner. But I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Strokes gained 3 and recent form 3, I think should at least have 1 in them. And you can see it did select 1 here. And it did select 1, 1 here. So I guess if I just keep these all at 1, it works out. This would be your lineup. And it $49,300 is how much it used. So I'm not even gonna go further than that. If we just kind of weaken the minimum buckets, we can still get a pretty darn good lineup to take down a GPP. And I won't lie, I did this for myself. I put these down to 1. I'm finding more and more times that you make it super strict where you want to select like 2 or more. Doesn't quite work out how we want it to. And I guess if I were just to go to strokes gained 3 and put down 2, see how that changes things. Yeah, so it doesn't even sniff the GPP winning lineup. So 597.5, that's not exactly what we want. So yeah, we could have got there. I will also say that last lineup that we looked at didn't even have a 10K golfer in it. So how about we do that? Because I would have went 10, 9, 8, 7. And we can go from here. Strokes gained 3, we can just put in 1. Recent form 3, we can put in 1. And see if we can still beat that 604 point mark. I think we can. I think when I ran this before, no, still at 601.5. Crazy. Cantley and Connors is what I would have chose. Interesting. What if I just put in Spieth? Why does it not want Spieth? 593. That doesn't really work out either. But if you use Colin Morikawa, that's pretty good. Did we want, just by using the buckets, what would our salary? Want to use a 10, want to use a 9, 8 is no, and then 1 7K golfer. Okay, so why don't we put those conditionals in? So we take the 8Ks out and just put it at 0. I'm gonna change this to 5 and 5. Maybe that's where it's coming into play, the tee time. Okay, this one beats the GPP winning, and it would use Patrick Cantlay, Corey Connors, Jordan Spieth. Then it's Matt Kuchar, JT Post, and Adam Long. That's pretty darn close to what the GPP winning lineup had, because they had what? Shane Lowry instead of Corey Connors. So they had Shane Lowry in their lineup instead of Corey Connors. They had Poston. They didn't have, so the other lineup didn't have EVR in it. So it used Matt Kuchar and Adam Long. So yeah, I'm not going to go through the differences, but we could have taken down a GPP if we kind of loosen up the conditionals a little bit. Let's see, what did it choose for morning, afternoon? Oh, it chose 4 morning golfers. Okay. So that's probably why I couldn't get there. In all reality, I almost didn't feel like I was that comfortable using a 10 and a 9, only because if you go back to the summary and we look at the salaries, these numbers here were very, very dangerously close to being under 2, and I wasn't really super comfortable having them in my lineup, but those buckets ended up all hitting with their projections. We had 1 10K golfer. We actually had 2 9K golfers in the top 10. Only 1 was in the optimal lineup. We had 2 8K golfers. 1 was in the optimal lineup. So yeah, I think it would have been somewhat easy if we would have just chose the right 2 golfers to build our lineups around. I mean, I guess what I would have done is I would have went with Jordan Spieth and a 10K golfer, obviously Patrick Cantlay. So if we went with those 2 golfers and just see what the optimizer will spit out. Yeah, so it's very much the same, but we did choose our 10, we chose our 9, we didn't have an 8 per se. It didn't even wow, it didn't choose an 8K. Okay, that's fine. We know the reason form 3 and strokes gain 3 were kind of the issue. Okay. Well, I don't think I was getting a Harold Varner III, so no big deal there. I'm not going to waste any more of you guys' time. I just wanted to go through that and double check if we could have gotten there somehow, some way. And for the most part, I think we could have. So with that being said, let me actually end this by, I'm not sure if I'm doing Zurich Classic content. I think what I'll do is one big podcast that has a preview and strategy to it, but there isn't much of a sweet spot strategy for a team event like that. Like, I haven't done enough groundwork to figure that out, so I don't think there's gonna really be a strategy video for that. It's just gonna be the preview video and kind of going, talking about how scoring will be done and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not going to be much different than what you see online with other places. I still want to provide that video so you guys can still participate and try to get, just get some entries into the giveaway to win some money. Outside of that, I don't think really, it's just going to be a crapshoot. Choose your favorite teams to put together. So yeah, that's kind of the only update that I have. Outside of that, there's nothing else. So thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.